Robin, issue 12. This is Joshua Williamson with Roger Cruz on the art in this issue. And we had the cliffhanger from last time, which obviously was quite exciting, was Damien wanting to go and resurrect Alfred. That was a kind of the big deal at the end of the last issue. And we do get to that in this, although it doesn't start off immediately dealing with that. There's a little bit of Robin saying goodbye to Connor Hawke, and kind of the just like Talia, Raz, all that stuff playing out. And I did get a good chuckle out of like her being like, "No, we're taking Damien with us," and then Damien's already stolen her ship.
Stolen the airship. Put the keys in.
Big ass airship as well.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's one of those things I always like though, is the ice effect on the speech bubble to like show like how pissed they are because it's cold.
Yeah. Yep.
I always enjoy that in a comic, as long as it's not overused. So Damien goes to Gotham. He goes to Alfred's grave. He whips out his little Lazarus resin vial. But then, of course,
has a fight with himself.
Yeah, there's like a sort of evil Robin shows up, and it's kind of like, and it's like he's just hallucinating basically because it's the knock-on effect of him going through the Lazarus pits and whatnot in the last arc. And at least I'm
a bit disappointed by that scene.
Sure.
I don't mind it because of what I feel it's setting up for Shadow War.
I think the problem is if we're setting up he's hallucinating it, and why are we not using the Alfred that we set up that he was talking with earlier, but like a slightly more physical manifestation of Alfred, and not make it into a fight scene for the sake of this issue having a fight scene?
Because so for me, it's not about the fight. It's he's at odds with the Al Ghul part and the Wayne part, and because he's spent all this time and he's seen the relationship with Talia, his grandmother to Roz, and then Roz to Talia, and now Talia to him, it feels like he's always going to be at war with this.
I get that justification.
Did he need to be kicked into the grave? Absolutely not. That's where he goes a little too
I think
far.
my problem is I felt editorial going, this issue needs action. We need a fight scene in here.
Sure,
that's the reason why it exists, because there's no other action in there.
Yeah, I don't mind the inner turmoil aspect of it being represented with the fight.
I kind of agree with Connor here. But like, I get the justification, but him hallucinating and seeing like an evil Robin felt really out of nowhere to me when he walked out, and I was like, oh, I guess we're doing this now. And then I liked what came after it, and I kind of like what else it does. I love Talia not liking his new girlfriend and him being like, well, tough. I don't care. I like her. And then of course the ending, teasing the direction that's going in with Flatline giving the heart,
Lord Deathman.
Yeah, to Lord Deathman.
I just love how maniacal this is. That's why I love that Williamson fully goes for it. So for all the stuff that didn't work for you guys, like him fighting an evil version of himself, there's Lord Deathman holding up a heart in a jar.
Oh yeah, I loved the last page. It was
it's stupid, and I do love that.
Yeah, it was just the other Robin showing up. It felt like a bit of a weird.
No, I know, but
pivot to
I fully love that Williamson's just swinging for fences with stuff like this.
It's just it's a frustrating issue for me, this one, in that there's a lot of ideas that it plays with. I like all the flatline stuff. I like the idea of of what it's doing with Damien and Talia, like that relationship that they're going to be redefining. But then at the same time, you've got the hallucination of the other Robin. I wasn't obviously too hot on. There's the whole thing where he's immediately like, no, of course I'm not going to resurrect Alfred. I've seen what it does. Then why did you bring the thing to the grave in the first place? It feels like if it just was a little bit contrived for the sake of having these scenes, if you've already reached that conclusion.
Well, actually, I don't think he'd already reached the conclusion. I think the fight with the other Robin is supposed to be what makes him realize that he'll come back.
I don't think it makes that very clear.
I agree, but I think that's the point. I think that's why he just decides in this moment.
Especially with what we find out in the epilogue here.
Yes.
What we find out about the Lazarus
I said the heart thing was the last page. Yes. Yeah, the actual last page is basically Ra's al Ghul's mother saying, oh, like, you've went through those Lazarus pits too many times, and it's it's infected you and you're dying. So that's kind of the big.
Yeah.
I in concept, I like it explains why he's gone all hippie.
Yep.
And kind of rather trying to make peace with himself, right? At this point, that kind of is what we've seen so far in this book. That makes sense. It lines up with that. So I'm intrigued by that. I really hope by the end of Shadow War, it doesn't just revert to, oh no, he's fine again. Lazarus pits have been restored. He can use them again. No big deal.
So do you guys remember Resurrection of Ra's al Ghul very well?
It's been a while, but yeah.
It's been
So-
a long
I
ass
remember
time.
it.
Yeah, so I feel like where this is going, because they're talking about this demon, right? And that basically Raz has corrupted it because he brought his science to deal with magic, and that's why it's killing him, right? There's diminishing returns for these. But the whole point in Resurrection of Ra's al Ghul was that the Lazarus pits are just a means to an end, is that Raz has actually mastered spiritual resurrection, and the whole point of Damien being created was he was meant to be a vessel for Raz. And eventually one of his, bastard kids is if that's still all canon, is who Raz is inhabiting now.
Yeah, if you didn't know, this was the original Palpatine story.
I mean, kind of, right?
Somehow, Raz has returned.
Right. And so, but yeah, so here it feels like it's kind of like we're going to be getting away from the Lazarus pits, especially with all this Lazarus resin running around. Everything it feels like right now there's something big that's going to happen with the Lazarus pits.
I wouldn't be
especially with
they cut it down to, there's only one again or something like that.
Yeah. But it definitely feels like they're redefining the relationship with the Waynes and the Bat side of the family and the All Ghouls. And now talk about Deathstroke Inc. and Shadow War, how Slade Wilson's involved in all this now.
Sure.
So I definitely think there's going to be a restructuring of Raz. So I don't think it's going to be a reset like Connor's worried about. At least I hope not. But I do think it's going to get to some kind of status quo.
I think my concern right now is I'm not been too hot on Williamson, and I know he's very much a student of Jeff Johns, not in the literal sense, but in the he's very clearly inspired by him.
Yeah.
And I'm worried he's going to take maybe that a little too literally and like take a leaf out of the Johns playbook and be like, well, let's just reset the status quo again. And I really don't want that now.
Which I understand, because I don't want that either. I like Hippie Raz. I hope we can get him at peace and him learning that he doesn't need the Lazarus pits or whatever, and that he can ascend or whatever. Because now we have Talia, right, in that spot.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see, because I went from being kind of middling on Shadow War to now being like, okay, anything can happen in this. I have literally no idea what's going on, and I like that. So, especially with this almost as a prelude.
Yeah.
I'm very going into Shadow War pretty cautiously, I would say.
Yeah.
I'm not particularly excited.
I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I wouldn't say I'm that excited. I wouldn't say I'm like dreading it either. I'm kind of just.
That issue, that alpha issue, can come out next week and completely be a wet fart. I'm gonna be very upset. But I don't think it's going to be.
What are you giving Robin, Matt?
I'm gonna give this a 7.5.
Connor?
It's got ideas I like. I really like the start and end of the issue, but that middle section's a bit murky, so I'm gonna have to give it like a 6.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same, although probably not quite as harsh on the number. So, I will say a straight 7. I think I like what it's doing with the characters and what it does at the start and the end enough that I won't let that fight drag me down too much. But I do agree that it kind of just felt like we needed the fight scene. So, here's one.